Hello everybody, and welcome to The Witcher 3. Welcome to this sort of spin-off of the previous animation series. As you may already be familiar, the animation series that once was here on Extra Play has now become Extra Frames over on the main channel, and all of the main animation-themed video content is going to be going there from now on. However, I do still need to record game footage for those videos, and I figured we could kind of do a splinter offshoot of what Extra Frames now is to sort of preserve the fun, looser, more relaxed analytical stuff that we did here beforehand with the previous version of the animation series. So that's what this is here now. Now, with that in mind, this is not going to be a full playthrough of The Witcher 3, not even by a long shot. I will probably only play a few episodes of this, honestly, but there's a few reasons I've chosen to play this here and now, though. First of all, I haven't played Witcher 3 since it came out. I meant to get back to it, and then I didn't for months and months. So now that they've released all the DLC and everything, this seems like as good a time as any. Second reason, I am, at some point in the distant future, going to be talking about The Witcher 3 and various other RPGs with conversation systems on Extra Frames. So I'm gonna need some game footage for that eventually. But the third reason, and the reason that I am recording this now as opposed to later when I'm actually gonna be doing that episode, is because I have a new graphics card in this machine. Which is thanks to the nice folks at B&H who sent us, the Extra Credits crew, a GTX 1080 graphics card, which I have now put in my machine, which I use to capture stuff for Extra Play and Design Club and Extra Frames and everything. And it's gonna result in some much nicer looking PC footage in the future, which I'm really excited about. And the nice B&H folks asked that we give them a little plug as their only condition, and I am more than happy to do that because we're gonna get a lot of use out of this card. So thank you very much, folks at B&H. If you guys are interested in purchasing this card, I think it is up for pre-order still, or will be. Either way, the link will be down in the description where you can check that out, see if you're interested. The reason I've chosen to, I guess, getting back to what I was saying, the reason I've chosen to jump ahead to recording Witcher 3 is because I was trying to think of a game that I want to do an Extra Frames on eventually that is somewhat graphics intensive and will get the most out of a beefy video card, and The Witcher 3 seemed like a good candidate. I am looking forward to seeing what this game looks like on a 1080, recording at 60 frames per second. I think this is going to be a good, pretty time. So, with all of that said, let's start doing this. My plan is to just record some footage, play for a little while, hopefully observe some interesting animation stuff, and get the footage I need for the future. I guess, fair warning for those of you who might care, this is M for mature, so don't be surprised if there's some M for mature stuff in here, because it's The Witcher. So, yeah, anyway, new game, let's do this. Fresh start. Gosh, I haven't seen any of this DLC stuff yet. I've barely seen any of the main game, I think, given how large it is. And I'm just gonna go, for footage capture purposes, I'm gonna go with just the story. I am not looking for a challenge here. I'm looking to progress and capture things. And analyze animation, and it's hard to do that while you're getting killed. Better put those tutorials on, yep. And sure, simulate Witcher 2 save? I don't 100% know what that does. Well, here we go. Now, this here is a very nice looking cutscene overall. Well directed too. I love the intercutting back and forth between the events that Geralt is tracking and the events themselves. It's a really great way to set the tone for those who've not seen any Witcher games before. Establish that this is a sort of Game of Thrones-esque fantasy world. And give you kind of a taste of what Geralt and the Witcher are all about. Just solving mysteries around this world, tracking things with your incredible senses. I would comment on the animation in this cutscene here, but given that it is a pre-rendered, essentially a tiny little slice of a animated film, as a lot of pre-rendered cutscenes are pretty much at this point, there's not really a whole lot for me to say about it, other than it is up to a film level of polish and quality. It looks really nice, and nothing in it looks wrong. It's a lot easier to make things not look wrong when it's all pre-rendered and animated to a camera and all that. Oh, and I love this transition to the in-engine cutscene here. Check this out. Isn't that nice? Now we're in real-time rendering territory. It's a cool way to dissolve between the two. And my, but this does look nice. Putting that graphics card to work. So talking in terms of animation here, so what we've got here is a completely custom animated cutscene here. That's some really nice finger animation there.
You know I don't find that amusing.
It wasn't meant to amuse, but to prod you to hurry. It's midday already. You promised Ciri you'd train with her. Go before Vesemir bores her to death with those etchings.
The Witcher story scenes are kind of a mixture of these fully animated, directed cutscenes like this one that's full of animation that is unique to that cutscene specifically. And the rest of them, the vast majority of them, actually, are conversation system, dialogue system cutscenes that are assembled from a big pool of reusable animations. And the thing that makes The Witcher 3 so remarkable, to me, is that it is the best example that I've ever seen of a conversation animation system. I'll get into it more later, but it's a, like most things about The Witcher 3, it kind of blows me away, and I don't entirely understand how the developers did it. I'm not sure most other AAA RPG developers could pull this off right now, not without bankrupting themselves. My, but this does look nice. Okay. Mini-maps, objectives, yes. Maybe I shouldn't have left the tutorials on. That's fine. Just kind of looking at Geralt's walk here. Wonder if there's any variety. Is it just a loop, or is there any variety to it at all? I think it might just be a loop. Does it do like any turn lean animations? He looks in the direction he's turning. So you get little shifts like that. His head's pretty much like attached to the camera in its rotation. More or less. Sorry if this is making you dizzy. I'm just kind of watching their walking around system here. What happens if I leave him be for a while? Some expression changes, he looks around. Shifts his weight. Ah, cracks his knuckles. Looks like he has a few of these fidget animations for if you just kind of leave him alone. Which is good. Alright, that's enough of that. Let's see, use our Witcher senses, here we go.
You're running out of juice.
I know. You might bring me some more once you're done training.
What else can we look at here?
Nothing but silver.
Gold clashes with my complexion, you should know that.
So if I'm walking and I stop walking, he kind of does a stop, settle animation there, which is nice. Helps to smooth out the transition from a forward movement to complete stillness. Always helps to make the movement feel a little bit more natural. So when I click to investigate this, Geralt will play his sort of default investigate animation where he just kind of peers at it.
Got any clues?
Same animation for when he looks at all these.
Undergarments.
So if I initiate dialogue where they're here, will this be a custom animated scene, or will this go into their dialogue system?
See, I thought Ciri could stand to wait a little longer.
Alright, it's dialogue system. She might have a unique animation for the hair brushing. But he's playing stuff that's from their dialogue system, and I think she is now too. That hair brushing might have been a unique one they made specifically for this cutscene, which is pretty neat. I'm going to be focusing mostly on their conversation system for this set of videos. Spoilers, I guess, but that's mostly why I'm here. And it's, honestly, it's the thing that impresses me the most in a already incredibly impressive game.
It'll give me a chance to put my face on.
Of all the women I've known, you're the only one who does that before.
You've known many.
What's it matter? Only ever thought of you.
I'm gonna get into it more later, but this is, I think, probably the first dialogue animation system game that I have played, that I can think of, where it doesn't feel like it's built from a library of canned animations. It actually, you could almost believe that each one of these little cutscenes, even the tiny little ones that start off or end minor side quests all over the world, the ones that there are hundreds of, you could almost be convinced that those are all kind of custom animated scenes or sequences. They're not, but this is the closest I've seen to a dialogue animation system that convinces me that it could be. And it kind of blows my mind. Like I said, we'll talk more about it later. Let's pick this key up, finally. I feel like I've lost some time in this speed run I'm doing here. We're speed running this, by the way. Does he have a door opening animation? Well, not when it's locked, I get. Oh no, I just unlocked it, so he doesn't have a door unlocking animation. Or a door open animation, door just opens. That's fine. See, that's a thing that you don't really, if you're just playing this and you're used to video game logic, you don't think about it. Like, when you're making games and you are thinking that, okay, well, there's gonna be doors in our world and the character has to be able to open the doors, as an animator, you think, well, we're gonna need to make a door opening animation, and we're gonna need this whole door opening system of like, you open doors and close doors. Like, will he use his right hand on this door to open it to the right, or will he use his left hand? What happens if this door is closed and this one opens? Like, what if we build this animation, but then there's these two doors here, and he opens one, and now he's gonna clip through the other door when he walks through. Like, just all these little things that you can just completely avoid by doing that. And the player won't care. The player will think it's fine, because the door opened and they could walk through, and that's really what they wanted. It may seem weird in a game like Uncharted or The Last of Us, where they've built an animation for almost every single possible thing you can do in the world, and so it feels weird when there's one missing, but most games, you can just get away with this kind of thing. And you should, otherwise your budget's gonna go crazy big. This one's budget must be ballooned up big enough as it is. Jeez. All right, so we're in another cutscene. How much of this?
Guess she prefers practice to theory.
All right, so those animations that Ciri's playing down there, those will be unique.
Time to wake up, Master.
His might be unique as well, sitting there in the chair. Geralt's, I think, are...
Damn it.
I don't know.
Taking notes on ghouls and
So this is the thing, it's hard to find the seams.
Making her slog through that brick? No wonder she took off.
This feels like a custom animated sequence. And it might be, but I think it's... even if it is, I think it's built including some of the canned animations for the dialogue system. But that you can't tell right away is impressive.
Don't train alone. It only embeds your errors. Bring our young damsel to the lower courtyard. She wants to practice, she'll get to practice.
Like, when you play Mass Effect, or Dragon Age, or almost any other one of these games that has a conversation system in it, and I love all those games, and I think they're great, you can usually tell when you're in talking dialogue system mode, and when you're in fully animated, scripted cutscene mode. Because when they're in conversation system mode, the characters kind of stand up straight, and they face each other directly, and they stand in a circle or directly face to face if there's just two of them. And they play their little canned gestures as they talk, and they may look around or do something unique every now and then, but... I'm getting on a tangent. But anyway, when they go into that conversation mode in a Mass Effect game, you can tell the difference. Here it is not nearly so easy. Like, they're in a conversation mode thing now, here, where I've just been idling this whole time. Geralt is settled into his arms crossed, leaning against a wall, which is kind of a specific choice there that won't be used in most of the conversation scenes we have. Looking over to where the person he's talking to is. Other person not facing him directly either. Neither of them are squared off looking at each other, which is already a step up from many older conversation animation systems anyway.
Gotta admit, we've spoiled her.
We've spoiled her. I've been saying it from the start. Ciri needs a firm hand.
Been saying that true, but you let her walk all over you just like the rest of us do.
Fine. I suppose I'm partly to blame. But this has to end. Now. Killing monsters is not something to be taken lightly. Ciri must understand that, if she is to become one of us. I'll see you below.
Wrong. Now I see why you were so eager to practice. Strike.
All right, so this is a unique cutscene here. At least for her part. Lots of camera work, too.
You're not in a circus. Pirouette. Wrong. Footwork.
See, look at that. How many of these dialogue systems can you actually read the character's thought process from facial expression changes? And subtle ones, not like big, broad facial expression changes.
Take off the blindfold. You've got work to do. Your reflexes are still slow.
Maybe for a witcher.
Think drowners or striggers will go easy on you because you haven't undergone the mutations? Though in your shoes, I'd fear Vesemir more than any strigger. Disobeying his instructions? Unwise.
Well, yes, but that book was horribly dull.
I know. And you know that's no excuse.
See, this system of theirs can even support,
It won't happen
or even
again.
has an animations to support him kneeling down to look her in the eye. Her looking away, distracted, or... yeah, I think just distracted in this case, but it could be evasively.
Better not. Vesemir said if it does, he'll make you eat a bowl of slugs covered in salt.
You!
Exactly. So you'd best behave. Come on, we'll practice with the others down below.
Shall we run the walls?
Let's do it!
Of course. This a Witcher school or an elven bathhouse?
To the bottom.
Maybe if you fall.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, on one hand, it's tempting to look at this and think that this has set the new standard for what an RPG should be and look like, and
Breathing through your mouth.
I don't know, like,
Steps.
I'm not sure how many other devs could actually do this.
Siri, cut it out.
I think CD Projekt Red, or Project Red, or I don't know, I'm gonna go with Project. I think CD Projekt Red might be another one of those exception to the rules devs, like Blizzard and Valve, and any of those other devs that can just work on games forever until they're done, because they've got the resources and the reputation to support it. Like when I look at Dragon Age Inquisition, which I also really like, it came out around the same time as this, a little before. Dragon Age Inquisition is large, but it feels like a game where you can sense where BioWare strains against their limitations. You can tell that there are probably some places they could have gone bigger or had more detail or fleshed out a system more, but there's just the limitations of budget and time and all that.
What did you expect?
This game, even though I'm sure they worked super hard on it, and it's like this is an incredible feat, it feels effortless. It feels like they weren't limited in what they could do at all. Which again is just them making it look easy. It obviously wouldn't have been easy. I don't know if any other AAA RPG dev could do this right now. Or would. I don't know if they would take a risk on something this
Young blood craves
enormous.
that, and I understand that. But when you fight a beast, knowledge counts as much as your silver sword. At the very least, you ought to be able to tell a ghoul from an owl ghoul.
By markings, like unto the Panthera tigris that in Zerrikania dwells, and by the sickly paleness of its visage.
So you did read the chapter. Still, you should have asked if...
But you were asleep, Uncle Vesemir.
Don't try to weasel your way out of this.
A witcher must know how to trick his opponent. You said so yourself.
Might have. But don't use my words of wisdom on Vesemir, got it? That's playing with fire.
Fine, we've talked enough. Geralt, you're with me, Lambert with Eskel, Ciri with the dummy.
Again?
Stop groaning and grab a sword. What do you think? Should we start by reviewing the fundamentals or go right to free training?
Let's... You know what, let's do it just so we can look at some combat stuff in a more controlled environment.
Skilled masters need to hone the fundamentals, and Ciri's barely a novice.
Draw your sword, Geralt!
Alright, boy, that's a lot of text that I'm not gonna read right now. Alright, here we go. So, press 1 to draw the sword. There's a sword drawing animation, because of course there is.
Quick cut! 1, 2, 3!
Alright. Let's get a look at Geralt's strafing here.
Come on! Stop showing off, Geralt.
a pretty nice little footwork system they've got going, where he'll, as I change direction, he'll kind of shift the direction he's facing and the, kind of shift his stance subtly.
What the blazes are you doing? This will be quick and painful.
Vesemir's movement is pretty nice too.
Enough. Stop showing off, Geralt.
Alright, I'll do it. Here we go.
Tomfoolery. Enough. Strong strikes now.
The attacks chain together really nicely too.
Lock your elbow when striking, young lady.
It's a really nice combat animation system they've built. All those little evades, different ones depending on the direction he goes. Oops. Rolling. Oh, he ends the roll facing the opposite direction. That's neat. I think that's a Krav Maga technique I saw. It may not be unique to that particular martial art. The getting shoved or pushed from behind roll and facing the direction of the person who pushed you, but... Alright, I'll parry. Kind of busy here, Vesemir.
And now, live later. Now, young lady, to bring the day to a close, we'll go over a few witches' signs. Let's start with Gwen.
Alright. Let's play with signs.
Ciri, Gwen is sometimes called the Witcher's Shield. Now watch carefully to see why.
Alright.
Cast Igni, Geralt. I want to see sparks fly.
And now for fire!
See? If not for the Gwen sign, I'd be aflame by now. All right, Geralt. Come on.
Ha!
See that, Ciri? Ard will knock anyone or anything off.
Huh.
Time for Axie. Damn it. I hate this feeling.
Here you go.
Axie can really muddle your mind. Erden now. Show her, Geralt.
Hang on. How do I unlock?
Stop showing off, Geralt.
I was just looking at Ciri over here, who's, in a clever little bit of recycling, is playing the same animations that she was while on the little balance posts. Which also kind of works in an in-character way, too, where she was being all fancy, like someone in the circus. Like style over function.
Stop showing off, Geralt.
And I'm clearly who she learned it from. Yep. So, what? Irden, okay. Ha!
Ciri.
I got the spells. Get out of here.
Throw a bomb. Don't worry, Ciri. Gwen will dampen the blow.
All yours.
This will be quick and painful.
Where's this? Ah, here we go. Hi, you go. Yeah. Let's get a look at some of these other guys, but we're going slow enough as it is. Let's move. Ow, let's move on. All right, so we got another. Oh no. All right, that animation is unique.
You really showed him, kid.
These two, hard to say. See, that's the thing. I don't actually know how their system is built. I am just making guesses based on my own understanding and what I can see here on the surface.
Find that helmet?
But again, the fact that as a working animator in games, I can't tell, partially speaks to my own limited experience, but also speaks to the quality of this system, because what a system. They've built a dynamic cutscene, conversation, and dialogue tree system that is robust enough that it can handle a wide variety of character animations, with characters being in different stances, tons of different gestures that feel natural. It supports pretty subtle changes in facial expression that actually feel tied to... Let me actually look at what's going on here rather than just talking about nonsense, because this is awesome. I mean, not for Geralt, obviously, but... Alright, but yeah, as I was saying, a system robust enough to handle characters talking to each other in a wide variety of different stances and circumstances. Like here, we got one sitting on the ground, arms around his knees, another sitting on a stone, hunched over. Neither of them facing each other. Well, Vesemir's kind of facing him.
We've got time.
But it isn't just your stock two characters facing off, having a conversation. It's a pretty dynamic setup they've got here. It's much more loose and organic feeling, and they support a lot of different stances and ways of sitting or standing or lying down, or all sorts of different circumstances like this. And it supports lots of changes in facial expression that at least feel tied to what they're saying, convincingly enough. A pretty fair degree of decent acting as well from this system. It's impressive. It's really impressive.
Started in the guest room at KAER MORHEN. I was relaxing in a tub, and next to me...
Triss?
YENNEFER. Funny, isn't it? She's never been there. Seemed so real in my dreams.
This is the first dialogue system in which I feel like I have seen characters give meaningful looks and make subtle expression changes that pretty clearly convey what they're thinking within the context of the conversation they're having or what they just heard or saw. That is really awesome.
In the dream, I went and found Ciri. Then we trained.
Those were the days.
And the fact that the characters aren't always locking eyes or even looking at each other as they talk makes a big difference. It allows for a lot more acting. Characters can look away if they're uncomfortable or thinking or confused or distracted by something.
No.
They can kind of look off into the distance in thought. They can gaze into the fire like Geralt is here. Vesemir can look at his friend with some concern.
Be dawning soon. Time to go.
Wait. Show me the letter from Yennefer. Might have overlooked some hint in there.
Didn't overlook anything. We were meant to meet in Willoughby. That's what she wrote. Meanwhile, one army or another burned the village to the ground. All we can do is follow her trail, so...
Stop talking for a minute and give me the letter. How about that? It does smell of lilac and gooseberries.
You were gonna read it, not sniff it.
We must meet. Soon. Willoughby near Vizima. Nothing else to guide us there. What's this postscript? I still have the unicorn?
The Witcher.
That's private. Very private.
Aha. I understand. At least I think I do.
See, this little part of the exchange just now with the characters standing more or less face to face, making a few little gestures and facial expression changes as they talk. This is what most other Mass Effect or Dragon Age conversations end up looking like.
But it looks like it leads towards the main road. Could be muddled there. Wait, hear that?
I hear it. I smell it. Ghouls.
Alright, here we go. Actual combats. Hooray, easy mode.
Of course, when armies pass, necrophages follow. Let's go before any more show up.
I'm taking all your stuff. Ah, the skull from the cutscene. Nice.
Bird skull and black crystal. Why do I think this is Yen's?
Let's see, anything else to loot here? Ah, who cares? But boy, oh boy, does this look nice. See, I played what I had seen before at launch on a PS4, which looked fine. But, yeah, doesn't really compare.
Ever tell you about this sorcerer I knew? Couldn't stop talking about how useful they are as creatures.
Ah, horse riding. Let's see how this looks.
Because you can brew potions from their blood?
No, because by eating rotting corpses they...
So, camera situated more or less directly behind.
You know they eat the living.
Not the most interesting angle, but it's functional.
Really upset him too. His theory collapsed.
When you turn the horse turns its head to look around, which feels right, although Geralt doesn't, like, pull the reins out to the side or anything. At least, not noticeably. Which...
Giddy up.
Now, he doesn't feel completely static or rigid or just glued to the top of the horse. Well, he does a little bit. Is there any bounce in the saddle? There's a little bit of bounce, or he sometimes shifts weight to kick or something. I don't know. He doesn't feel completely stiff in the saddle, which a lot of bad horse riding animation does. But it's not nearly so robust as the Shadow of the Colossus stuff we saw. But then this is just, I think horse riding is a much smaller part of the experience compared to Shadow of the Colossus, which has far fewer systems to account for. Like, Shadow of the Colossus doesn't have a crazy robust conversation system, for example. Or dozens and dozens of hours of cutscenes.
War's not exactly going our way.
We have a side.
The Northern Realms.
Radovid's realms, don't you mean? Temeria and Edirn are no more.
Radovid's pledged to restore the old borders as soon as he wins the war.
Believe that?
Gotta believe something. That's what keeps us going.
Alright, I think this is gonna do for now, but I will be back soon with another episode of this, because I definitely could use more footage than just this here. Thank you all for watching, I hope you've kind of enjoyed this, and I will see you next time!